I think it's thinking about it.
Yeah, customize dashboard. All right, I think we good.
Hey guys, my name's Kendra. I am the creator of One Right Effort, and I am here with my friend Anthony. And I'll be introducing him in a second, but before we get started today, I just wanted to give you guys a little intro into what One Right Effort is and kind of what we plan to do. So, with One Right Effort, I just plan to showcase uh, just people who are honestly living out their everyday passion, living truthfully, doing everything that they love, everything that inspires them, and just being able to showcase that to my personal audience. And then hopefully, as we build and we grow together, the more people who are exposed, the more people that are able to just kind of like tune in and live out their passion because of what we're doing. So, as I mentioned, I'm here with my friend Anthony today, and Anthony is an artist. He'll be kind of giving you guys a little intro into what he is and or what some things he has going on. So yeah, without further ado, Anthony.
Cool, cool. My name is Anthony. How y'all doing? I'm a poet. I do poetry, and I wrote 4 books. I'm an author of 4 books, and I started writing poetry back in 2014 when I was 20, and up to now, I've grown a lot. And my books are actually downtown in the store, in the bookstore, which is pretty crazy to me. But yeah, that's what I do. I love to write poetry, and also I make beats as well, and I produce for other artists as well. I'm still in the learning process as well. So I'm growing as an artist, growing as an artist, but I came really far. So I'm glad that the place I'm at right now, I'm glad here. And with Kendra to invite me, and it's pretty cool.
Of course. So Anthony, like, how did you like? What kind of inspired you to get started in writing poetry? What does that process kind of look like for you?
So basically, when I first started, um, 2014, a friend actually did a poem, and when I seen the poem, I'm like, oh, I think I could do that too. Her name's Tonia Nicole, by the way, Tonia Sims. That's her middle name. Sorry about that. Tonia Sims. So she actually got a poetry book herself, and she actually inspired me to write poetry. And so I decided to write a couple of lines here and there, and see if I could come up with little metaphors, punchlines, or whatever. And I wrote a full-length poem called "Ring of Fire." It's about love, and I wrote it the Valentine's Day on 2014, and I posted on Facebook, and I got a lot of love from that, and then that's when I you know first started, and that's how it
So
began.
from kind of like you said, your friend was able to inspire you. Like, what from her poetry or like what kind of like what did she say that really resonated with you to make you think this is something that I'm interested in?
Um, she said something that caught my ear. I can't quite remember what line it was,
Mm-hmm.
but it was something that resonated with me, and I decided to write something that resonated with me as well. So basically, I put it down on a pen and paper, and I told myself, how can I turn this into poetry? And basically, I just kind of like turned it.
Went
I
from there.
went from there. So yeah.
Okay. What are some things that I'm I have a couple of your books. I know you said you have four, which is, just an honor really to say that you're a published author of four books. But like, what are things that you find yourself most frequently writing about, or does that vary kind of, with whatever time that you're in your life, or what does that look like?
It varies. It varies a lot. Depends on how I'm feeling, how life experience is. Um, from time to time, we're human. We feel all types of emotions. Um, Whatever I'm feeling, I just write it down on pen and paper and turn it into poetry. I write down how I feel, um, or about like a certain subject, or if I'm writing about something, I can jot down my ideas first before I turn it into poetry. So in emotion, it's a little bit easier because it resonated with a lot of people. Um, It's just depends on the day, how I'm feeling, and the vibes of the day. Sometimes you could be inspired by like one little thing, like a tree, and you can write about a tree. You
For
know,
sure.
so
Has that process been kind of like therapeutic for you? Is it,
very therapeutic. I'll say that for sure, for sure.
I think just being able to like get your emotions out sometimes, whether that be like talking with someone else about them or, you
Mm,
know, with in your case, like writing them, it's kind of just like that release. And I feel like, especially, you know, during this past year has been, I'm sure, very, very helpful for you.
definitely. So it all depends, uh, on on life experiences and stuff like that. And I can actually, as a poet, I can actually get away with some of the things I say as far as like emotionally, because as men, we are designed to like keep emotions in, and I can actually get away with it by actually presenting my poetry. So basically those are the things I usually talk to men about, and just connecting with them, something that they are embarrassed to talk about. I can actually, get away with that, and put it out, and so they can like, oh yeah, I'm feeling, that's what I'm feeling too. So
hmm I think
that's basically
I
it.
think you said something that really hits home. Like I wouldn't agree with you like the sense like as
Mhm.
men were designed to, but I think it's kind of what society has been,
Yeah, we're not designed to, but
yeah.
society basically, saying like, men are supposed to like conceal emotion. We're not designed to, but
For sure.
in society, I should have reworded it.
No, you're good.
But
That's
yeah,
why we're here.
but yeah, other than that, yeah, that's basically what it is. Definitely.
Has I know for me, like when people reach out and they're like, "Hey, Kendra, like this really hit home with me," or like, "Thank you for this." I know it inspires me to kind of keep going and keep pushing. What
Mhm.
would you say, like, I guess an experience that you've had or somebody that's come to you and said like, "Thanks for doing this." What is that? How does that make you feel?
It feels amazing. It feels amazing. When people actually tell me, they like a certain poem, in one of my books on Instagram, Facebook. When people tell me there's relief, um, um, when I actually explain their problems as well, like, okay, I'm not alone, and it makes them feel like they're they're one with somebody else. So basically, that's what it is. It feels really good, knowing that someone um relates to me as much as it works. It's good on both sides, because you relate to them, and they relate to you, and it plays good, so it feels real good, real good.
For sure. What would you say, kind of like for you, the most important thing being like being an artist or calling yourself an artist? Like, what do you think, kind of like, what doesn't being an artist mean to you, or like what's kind of the most important thing that you hold in that space?
Just connecting with people. We human. I want to connect with humans, and basically, um, let everybody know that you're not alone. If you're dealing with something, you're not alone. I write about it all the time. Anxiety, depression, everything. Even happiness, sadness. Um, we're human, and I write about it, and I turn it into poetry, so people can actually, relate to it, and actually feel a little comfort from the poetry. So definitely.
Uh, I guess before we kind of move forward, is there like a specific poem or anything that stands out to you that people say like, "Oh, this has really resonated with me," or maybe something that you want to share?
There is a poem called Beauty. A lot of women love it. Um, I can't say it if you want me to. That's fine with that.
I mean, it's whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
No pressure, no pressure.
Yeah, there's a poem called Beauty. When I presented it, a lot of women like really loved it. So it goes something like this. All right. I took a glimpse of you. Hold on.
You're okay.
I took a glimpse of your soul and found a galaxy. Adoring the stars you think are flaws, I see astronomy. That's straight eyes, there's a brilliance that you have to see. Take a glimpse and watch the stars, conceive a being that bleeds the worth that people will love to seize. See? No need to try to impersonate a centerfold because your natural beauty runs in universal minerals. No need for chemicals that block your etiquette blessings. You're biblical. The makeup casts you carry your load like funerals. Kill that mask and reveal the natural resource beautiful and watch all your work coincide with the riches of minerals. The words of men that belittle you shall be dismantled into the minimum before it runs through your mind. They clearly saw the sublime in you. They just trying to subside their own issues. You got the juice. Don't let them get a sip. You got the sauce. Protect your ingredients with the grip. The self-doubt that lives in your head shall be thrown off a cliff and let it blow with the wind like a road trip. Because at the end of the day, you are worth every bit. That's the poem.
I like it. I like it.
I guess that's hope.
I think I guess just a few lines that really hit home for me, but like the last one especially, I was trying to like remember them in my head, like which one? Because I mean it like every bit of it
Every line
is
was
yeah for sure. But I think just the last line, like knowing your self worth, and I think as women, um, something that I guess I'll speak for myself,
Yeah, go ahead.
but definitely something that I feel like I struggle with. There's days I wake up and I'm like, oh, like I just don't feel pretty today, or like and it's just kind of hard to find that. So I think anything that you can watch or read or just daily affirmations definitely helps. So I like that you're able to inspire people to live out their truth and live out their um, to build themselves up and just let us know that hey, you're worthy, like no matter what, you're beautiful. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
So a couple more questions here. Well, I guess not a couple more, but just some other things I wanted you to share if you're comfortable with.
That's cool.
Um, is there anything? I know the last video I did with my friend Kirsten, we kind of talked about challenges, and I know, um, one of her things that she mentioned was like just finding that balance between your everyday life and then being able to kind of find time to do what you're passionate about. But like,
Mhm.
what are some challenges or anything that you feel like you've had to overcome as an artist?
Some challenges. Getting uninspired. Sometimes
Hold on, say
when
that again.
getting uninspired, uninspired.
Okay.
Um, sometimes um you will write something and you forget where you was going at when you was writing the poem. Sometimes you get writer's block. Um, sometimes it depends. Writer's block is definitely a thing, but I don't really believe in it. Um, because you can always go back to it and have more lines to jot down here and there. But it is there. You get stuck on a line or here and there. Um, just finding inspiration sometimes, or if you were to try to find inspiration, that can be a little hard. Sometimes you need to walk on the park and like, oh, just just think of something that the poem that you left out in, or if you're a songwriter or an MC, a rapper, or any type of artist. Sometimes you get stuck on a song, stuck on a certain emotion. You're like, oh, how do I put it out? And that's basically one of the challenges I've been going through. And then when I go through that challenge, I just go walk around, and then I have more life to put down on the pen on the paper. That's
For
pretty much
sure.
it.
I think for anybody, just being outside is there's just something magical about being outside. And I know, uh, kind of just cueing the audience in, but you and I were talking about the fact that like we want to be in like a warm climate for that very reason. I feel like, but just I think any time that you're able to get outside, uh, go walking, be in
Hmm.
nature, be immersed in the beautifulness of our Mother Earth, is important. So I know that
Definitely
definitely helps me for sure. Uh, so you not only have one book out, but you got four. That's
four,
crazy.
four,
uh,
four.
what we have them here, but like if you want to kind of like share about kind of like the process creating your first book, what you might have learned from that process, and
Hmm.
how you were able to kind of continue to push forward to get three more out.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Like if I said, hey, Anthony, like, I'm interested in creating my own poetry book or my own book, like, what does that process look like?
So the process, basically, I already, I already wrote the book, before I even thought about writing the book. So let me explain. I had a bunch of poems laying out, and I had a friend of mine. He actually told me to why don't you construct it into a book? And I didn't think about it at first. I wasn't with it. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do a book. And I thought about it. He's actually an author too. His name is Carlito Gilmore, and you can check him out. He actually inspired me to write my first book. At first, I wasn't with it, but then he was really pushing, like, "Yo, your poems are really dope. Like, you should write it into a book and organize it." And I already had a lot of poems, and I'm like, "What am I going to do with this?" So basically, he told me to write it into a book, and end up writing into a book inside the mind of Ali the poet. Ali the
Get a
poet.
little closer. Get a little
Oh, there it is.
closer.
So inside the mind of Ali the poet, so AO apostrophe E. So AOE is my full initial. So I decided to make that as my stage name, and but basically the book was already all of these books were already written. It's just the fact that like I didn't put it into a book yet. It was just everywhere.
Just poems.
It was just poems everywhere. So um, so basically, yeah, that's what that's what it is about that. But yeah, I would say take your time, right? In the writing process. Um, don't rush it. Make sure that um, every line hits home. Um, make sure be unapologetic about it too. You don't have to like beat around the bush. Um,
What elaborate a little bit more on that statement? Like, what do you mean by that?
so you don't have to be shy to let out what you want to express,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Um, so a lot of people, are really insecure about like letting out their artistry or letting out their emotions. Just let out anything. Basically, what you want to do is have that little courage to like write something down that you feel insecure about, and then like you would be surprised that people will actually support you when you
Mm-hmm.
actually put it out,
When you're being vulnerable,
when
when you're
you're being
being
vulnerable.
truthful, yeah.
And basically, that's what I mean by that. Just be unapologetic. I mean, you can beat around the bush. I mean, you can, you could, but I mean, I feel I had a lot of success just writing unapologetically. Just letting everything go. So
So, if you want to, let's back up a little bit. Like, what is the process of like, how did you? I mean, because I'm sure when your friend was like, hey, let's get your book out there. Like, you have all these poems. Like, this is kind of too good to just
hmm
sit around and
hmm
be in a notebook, right? So, like, what did that process look like for you? I'm sure you were kind of nervous, scared going into it on
uh,
actually, hey, I have to, figure out the steps to actually get a book, out
uh,
there. Like, how did you kind of go about getting over that fear or actually getting that book published or, process? Like, what does that look like?
so the whole process. It's a website called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. They actually laid out how you want your book constructed. So basically, it was very simple. Just write everything. What I did was I wrote everything on Microsoft Word and I copy and pasted it. It was pretty easy. But the whole process of getting the book out, is actually like uh, was actually organizing it. Organizing could be
Challenging.
a little challenging. And I read, not gonna lie, I was in fear. I read a couple of poems I wrote. I'm like, I'm not gonna put this out. I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to put this out. And then I'm like, okay, Gil, said Anthony, you definitely just put this out. And worst case scenario, people just going like it. It
Don't
is
like it,
cool, it
but you
is.
like it. So
But I
that's, I
like it,
think,
so
yeah,
exactly.
most important.
You can't really always please people. You can't please everybody. So I was like, why not? So I decided to construct it. The whole writing process, the whole editing the poems. That was a little hassle. I would say that. But if you guys are interested in putting a book out by any chance, I would say go to Kindle Direct Publishing. That website really helps a lot. It's very simple. It's like a one. It's like as easy as one, two, three.
Okay, yeah, we for sure can like post that link too, just to, I mean, for anybody who is interested. Um, you know, yeah. So that's, I mean, that's pretty cool because I didn't even know that about you. So that's kind of cool that it lays everything out and made it kind of easy for you.
Definitely.
So I guess what kind of what's next for you? Like you have 4 books. Is there a new book coming out, or um, you also make beats? If you want to talk about that process a little bit, like what's kind of next, or what's in store for you?
Um, just it's funny that you mentioned that. Just yesterday, I just put out a poetry EP called Loops in Poetry, and it's out on Spotify. It's out on SoundCloud, everywhere, YouTube.
You
But
said
my
it's called
Loops in Poetry.
Loops and Poetry. Okay.
So basically, loops in poetry. Basically, it's exactly how it sounds. If you're a music producer, loops. When you break loops, basically when you take a sound and repeating it over and over, and I'm saying my poetry over the instrument. So that's basically what it is. Loops in poetry. It's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah,
I think too, before we move forward, like I think it speaks so much volumes to you and your character that you even have like the confidence to put that out because
hmm
I think it takes one thing to get your book out and like in a I mean your poems out in on paper, right, or in a book,
hmm
but like some people have that fear of just reading their poetry out loud. You just did it over alive. So
yeah,
I mean, but I mean just the fact that you're able to not only write it but also speak it. I think
yeah.
that's a kind of like a whole nother artistry as well. Before we move forward on like if you want to talk about kind of like the what got you interested in beats or if you did that first, I do just want to mention like one thing that inspires me about you specifically is I constantly like see you posting on social media, like hustling out here to actually get your material purchased, um, or like get people like that visibility behind it, which is so
hmm
important because like if no one's reading it, I mean you could it's cool to have it. Obviously, it's not cool. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have it published, but like people are actually reading it, resonating with it. That's how they're able to kind of give you that feedback and let you know, hey, this really inspired me. Um, where I guess you have them in a store, like that's super dope. How did that process come about, or was it organically, or did it just kind of happen?
Um,
Uh,
so it just kind of happened, to be honest. Um, um, there was a certain supporter. I think she's a college professor, English college professor, and she one day she invited me to do an open mic. Um, and Neil Hilborn, I think that's his name. We was performing with him. We shared the stage with him, and he's also a poet. He's one of the most famous poets on YouTube, and um, me and her relationship went from there. And when she invited me, and when I told her that I released the books, she was like, "Oh, she's automatically said, I'm going to support. Post your link. I got it. I'm definitely support." I'm like, "Oh, sure." And she ended up buying 5 books of five. She ended up buying 20 copies of each book. Oh no,
5 copies of
5
each
copies.
book. So
Yeah,
yeah,
5 copies. Yeah,
I
five.
got
Yeah,
you. I got
5 copies of
you.
each book. 20 books in general. Sorry, I'm a little brain dead right now,
No,
y'all.
you're good.
But
Math isn't
yeah,
everybody. You poetry's your thing. Math.
yeah.
No, I'm just messing with
No, you good. But yeah, basically, me and her relationship clicked from there, and then she knew a librarian, and she made contact with her about my book poetry books, and she decided to sell my books in her store, and um and so she Elizabeth, I think that's her name, Elizabeth the librarian. She messaged me through Facebook. She was like, "Hey, I came from a mutual friend. Like I heard you put out books and everything, and if it's cool if I can tag you. And so I'm like, oh, cool. You could tag me.
Yeah.
So she basically she tagged me on Instagram. Um, she was trying to tag me on Facebook, but we wasn't friends then. So we end up, I sent her a friend request and
Mhm.
basically, and so that's what happened. And then I end up going there personally and see my books are actually on display over there. I'm like, that was
How
pretty
did that,
crazy.
yeah, how did that make you feel?
I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'm like, man, I was in disbelief to be honest, which I'm like, damn, this is really. I was like, man, this is dope. And at the same time, I'm like, man, and thinking back to what I first thought, I'm like, man, I really came far. That's one of those things that like really was really like a dope process.
Is there, I guess you want to talk a little bit about kind of like the, uh, you making beats, how that um, come about, or
I started making beats 2 years ago. I was inspired by hip hop. Really inspired by so many artists. I mean, just to name a few, Kanye West.
nah, you're not a Kanye fan, are you? Okay, nah, I'm just saying. We're ending the video.
No,
No,
as far
I'm just
as
saying. I
as
have respect for Kanye, so we won't go there.
as far as like his music production, oh my bro, like he's a genius as far as music
Yeah.
production, as far as like making beats. But I'm also inspired by the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. He produced most of Wu-Tang Clan's projects. Basically just that real gritty beats, and I just got inspired. I'm like, I want to make one of these. I want to make the beats. When you listen to music, you listen to instrumentals. You're like, oh, what kind of instrument is that? I was a little curious about the instruments they were used, and I'm like, I can do that. I can try to do
Mhm.
that. And I was a little inspired by just listen to hip hop, a lot of hip hop. A lot of '90s hip hop to be specific, and if you hear my beats, it's very into like '90s type vibe to it, and um, that's how I got inspired and what started. And at first, of course, like the whole process of making my first beat, it was hard. Not gonna lie. I mean, the whole process of I feel like if you want to learn anything, you
It's gonna
know,
be like that
it's gonna
learning
be
curve for
that
sure.
learning curve. It's like, man, how do you even start with the basics? And
Yeah.
then when I first like learned the basics, I'm like it kind of like flow through the whole process. So basically, I was inspired by those artists just to name a few. But yeah, it was pretty. Oh, and Q-Tip from Tribe Called Quest, amazing, amazing, amazing producer. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess is there anything else that kind of you want to share or anything else that's on your heart that you want to talk about
Um.
before we get into the
All right. So, guys, that's viewing. Follow your dreams. Be unapologetic about it. If you keep sitting on fear, you are
mm,
not gonna be able to do it. You
wow.
have to. You have to have that courage to put it out. Um, if it's art, anything, push that first piece of content out and see what people think. You will be surprised how many supporters you will get. Um, just don't be in fear. Um, uh, Fear is not of God. That's something
Wow.
that really resonated with me. So when I read that in the word, I definitely carried me on it. So fear is not of God, you guys. Definitely put out everything that you always wanted to do. Don't be in fear. You've been holding back for years or months or whatever the time frame may be. Make sure you put it out and don't be afraid to follow your dreams because I follow mine and look how far I've been. Hopefully this inspired you guys.
For sure. So, we'll get into the hot seat, and then I want you to share also, like, if they're interested in getting your content, your material, where they would be able to find that.
Okay.
So real quick in the hot seat, I'm in the hot seat with Anthony Ellison. I'm saying your last name right.
Elion, it's
Oh,
Elion.
oh,
Anthony
see,
Elion.
see,
Y'all,
okay.
hey, she good. She, hey, a lot of people over the
I can't
years.
be fearful. I was gonna try to not say it at all. So no.
It's all good. It's all good.
All right. So Anthony, chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
We're ending. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you
No,
mean
no,
like
no.
as far as
No,
like
no, no. Okay,
no,
so no, I'm okay. No
I
explanation
thought you meant
needed.
like
You
ice
good, you
cream.
good. Night or day?
Night,
Dogs or cats?
dogs,
Hot or cold?
hot,
Coke or Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid.
Hey, okay. So you heard it, you heard it, you heard it from the mouth of Anthony. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we wrap up today, if someone is interested, which you all should be, because let me just, sorry, I'm reaching over, but like I said, he has 4 books out. I have 2 of them. I'm actually gonna get the other 2 today,
Oh,
which
that's
I didn't
dope.
even know. Like, I was like, you have, I didn't even know there was this other one that you've been holding out on, but
Hmm.
so yeah, so I mean, I love how like, sorry, the camera is not the best, but like
You good?
just how simple the illustrations are, because I think I mean, it really doesn't need to be like,
Yeah, like and I just thought I drew most of these too as well, so
a,
pretty dope.
but yeah, so 4 poetry books out there. If anybody wanted to cop one of these, and I mean, by cop I mean get one, where they would be able to find those, and then we'll also post links.
All right, cool.
So yeah, where can they find
You can find you can find me at Instagram AOETHEPOET, and that's literally everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. That's how you can follow me. And basically when you go to one of those pages, especially Instagram. If you go to Instagram, there's a link to where my books are at. There's a
Okay.
link to my website. You can order the books and you can see poems, all types of stuff on there.
Awesome.
Um, basically, yeah.
Yep, we'll for sure be posting links. But thank you so much, Anthony, for taking time out of your afternoon to speak with me. I honestly do feel privileged,
I
just
feel
being able to
privileged too.
catch up as
Definitely.
well. So thanks y'all for tuning in. Be ready for next week, the next live. You never know who's gonna be on. So I mean, it could be no, I'm just kidding. But thanks for joining us here today, y'all. We definitely appreciate your support, and as always, peace.
Deuces. That was